Well, everybody, it is not quite Sunday Night Live, as this is a pre-recorded episode with a very special guest from the Netherlands, but this is Material Issues, episode number coming up. I'm Mark Hershberger of Pop Detective Records. I'm over here in a gorgeous fall day in sunny southern New Jersey. Joining me as always, the president of the International Pop Overthrow Music Festival. He's over in SoCal. So what, I say, if the weather is even warmer over there. But Mr. David Bash, we hope you're feeling good today. David, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mark. But we don't know what kind of day it is.
We have no idea.
We only know that what the kind of day we're recording this, but we don't know what kind of day it is when it's going to air.
We've been time traveling so much in the last couple of weeks with these
It's
episodes.
really weird. I don't know. I mean, are we supposed to talk about it as if we're actually at the day it's airing, or should we be talking about?
I don't know.
What happens right now?
Confuse people long after you and I are gone.
Well, we know this is gonna air in early December. It'll be either December 7th or 14th, and by that, so I hope to be able to say, well, IPO New York was such a success that Walter Yetnikoff of CBS Records came by and said, at your next one, we're going to have Bruce Springsteen and Billy Joel play. So
wow.
Let's hope for that. No, yeah. By the time this airs, all three IPOs on the East, New York, Boston, and Toronto, will have taken place. So we have no idea what to say about that.
But here's the beauty of it. You know, we've done some pre-records here in the last couple of months because it does allow us to have wonderful guests from overseas, where if we're doing a normal live 8 p.m., it'd be way too late at night to have a lot of these people be live. So
it would have been 2 a.m. for our guest from the Netherlands. So that's a lot. Even of a rock star, that's a lot to ask.
Would they have upcoming releases or releases that are already out, or depending on the timing, it's great to be able to do this because so many of the people watch our show, watch it in the archives when they do have the chance. So that's why it's great.
Yeah, but all right. So whether or not this is December 17th, or whether it's December 17th or 14th, we do know that our guest's album will be available, or is available, on CD and vinyl.
Yes.
And the album is called Do It Now.
Yeah. Go get it. Go get it right now. Go get it right now if you can.
Do it now. Maybe that's what it meant. There it is.
There it is, yeah.
And we'll talk about where this picture was taken because it's very cool. But I got to know our guest probably around 13 years ago, when his band at the time, The Hype, played International Pop Overthrow Liverpool. They came all the way out from the Netherlands to do that, and they were wonderful. And I bought this record in Amsterdam in June. I already had the CD, but never had the vinyl. It's still sealed. So when our guest becomes ultra famous, this is going to go for some sick money.
I was going to ask, lived up to the hype. Did they live up to the hype?
They lived well beyond the hype even.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Is there any other jokes we could make?
Since then, he's released several solo albums, including Happy Hunting Grounds, The Jester, Playing by Ear, and the brand new one, Do It Now. He's not just a great singer-songwriter popmeister, he's also an author. And he's got this book right here, and I'm never going to pronounce this right. De Plattenkast van Paul McCartney. Well, the McCartney part I pronounced right. I guess this means something about his record cabinet, and what this book is about are the albums that our guest saw in McCartney's record cabinet. How cool is that? The only thing for us cretins from the U.S. is that the book is in Dutch, and we don't read Dutch. So, but the photos are just wonderful. So even if you don't read Dutch, you're going to want this book. But there is talk that it might come out as in an English speaking form. So let's hope that happens. All right. Well, without further ado, let's give a huge material issues welcome to music and book author Yorick Van Norden.
There you
Hello.
Hi there. Good afternoon, David and Mark.
Good. Yeah, it's what is it? Oh, it's still morning for us. 11:27 a.m. in
morning for David. It is afternoon for me.
11:27 a.m. in Southern California and 2:27 p.m. in New York. So, or in New Jersey, where he is.
Welcome. Where are you located in the Netherlands, York?
I live in a town called Haarlem, which is actually where Haarlem, New York got its name from.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, only Haarlem in the Netherlands has two A's, does it not?
That's true. Yeah.
Actually, Mark, I think, and you may or may not know or care about this, but one of our most famous baseball players of all time, Bert Blyleven, I believe was born. He may have been born in Haarlem. I know he was born in the Netherlands. I thought it may have been born in Haarlem. But if you don't, have you heard of him?
I'm afraid to admit I haven't.
Well, then maybe I'm wrong, but he was definitely born in the Netherlands, but lived, most of his life in the U.S. and became a Hall of Fame, literally a baseball Hall of Fame pitcher. So, so that's where I think that's where I first heard about Haarlem. But how was it that New York derived its name from the Netherlands city?
Well, I think the country, the city of New York was first started when it was colonized by a Dutch guy called Peter van Stuyvesant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And after a while, they sold it to the British people or they traded it for Suriname. And some of the Dutch names stuck because, I mean, they got like Flushing, which is like Vlissingen in the Netherlands. You got like Brooklyn, which is Breukelen. You got Haarlem, which is like Haarlem. So, yeah.
Wow. So I don't think I ever really knew that, or maybe I heard it.
And I was born and raised in New York State, and I have to have a Dutch guy teach me about my own state. Now that's
that's funny.
But one thing David does know is he knows a lot of Dutch music or Dutch artists.
Yeah, fortunately I do.
We've listened to much of it over the years, and as we talked pre-show, when it comes to that area of the world, David and I both kind of know a lot of what's going on from there, what has gone on. But I got to tell you, York, I didn't know much of anything about you until David lit the fire, and I'm so glad he did, because I've been blown away by everything I've been listening to. Your bio translated on Wikipedia is really impressive, with a lot of cool tours that you've done, playing with artists for certain reasons, and you've done quite a lot, and quite an impressive resume for somebody who looks really young. I know you're not as young as you look, but it's
Thank you.
Well, your age is actually posted online, so we can say that while your posted age is 39, you look maybe half that age. So.
Well, thank you so much. Those are a lot of nice words and kind words, Mark. That's lovely to hear.
I've listened to the new album, which is out couple weeks ago.
Right.
Thank you. I figured it out, didn't I? And it's one of those, I don't have a whole lot of free time, but it's not too often that I listen to something once and then I have to sit down with good headphones and listen to it, because it's one of those albums that, and mostly all your albums I listen to it, very lush, very layered, a lot going on, and just takes you away. It's really, really well done.
Well, that's lovely to hear. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I really appreciate the work. A lot of work goes into to do it as well as you've done it, and it's fantastic.
I guess I'm a sucker for details.
Yeah. Is that your recording process? You really take a lot of time, and you're very detail oriented.
Yeah, I guess I am in a way. I mean, I really like to capture a certain feel and a certain moment in time. So most of the time we track the whole band as a group, so to make sure that we capture a certain feel. But after that, I take a lot of time to care about little details.
And it shows. We talked to a number of artists and people, guests on our show, and there are those who we really can say you've taken the time to really care about the details, and it's very well done. Just little things here and there that just take it to another place. It's like, whoa, did I just hear? What did I just hear? And I got to go back and listen to it again. And that's wonderful.
And for people like us, if we take the time to listen to an album more than once in a row, that's testament to how good it is, because we have so many. I mean, I can't tell you how many CDs from 2025 CDs and vinyl I have right around me here, and I have. It's my job to listen to all of them, not for my personal growth and for being able to turn people on to music. And so when we listen to something more than once in a row,
it feels very, very flattering, because I do know your record collection, David, and I do know you have a lot of records. And I mean, we only have so little time, and we have so many records. So it speaks a lot for itself, and it's very flattering that you managed to play it more than once.
Yeah, you can see some of my box sets behind me right there.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is only some. I mean, I had to have a bunch of shelves built recently to add on to what I already have, so just to be able to accommodate the collection. So speaking of music and musical taste, let's say, did you get it all, your love of melody, from either of your parents, or did it come from your friends, or just on your own?
Well, when growing up as a kid, I didn't really show a lot of interest in music. I was really into the Fantasia movie by Disney, the original one. I really loved that score and all the animations and all that. So I must have seen it 1,000 times. And my granddad used to play the cello in an orchestra. So twice a year we went to see his orchestra play. And I always thought it was very impressive, even though I always fell asleep half the time because it was a little late for a small kid. But still, there was a love of music there. My parents both had record collections, and they were really into music. My mom played a little piano. But it was only by the time I was about 9 years old that I really fell for music when I heard the song Free as a Bird play on the radio, the Beatles reunion single from 1995. And it was played on Dutch radio. I was 9 years old. I was sitting in the car in the back. And there was just something about the tune that spoke to me, and it was so deep. So I asked my parents, like, "Oh, Mom and Dad, what are we listening to right now?" And they said, "Well, son, that's a band from long ago called the Beatles. And if you like what you're hearing, this is their new single, but they did a lot of records way back. You should take a look upstairs, because we got some of their records actually that are stored somewhere over there." So by the time we got home, I went upstairs and I went through all their records, and I found some Beatles records. They had like Rubber Soul, Revolver, the Magical Mystery Tour EP. They had like the Red album, 2 bootlegs, funnily enough.
Wow.
And so I took all of those to my room and just started absorbing them, and I just fell for it, and it took me away to such a magical place.
Did you decide right then and there that you wanted to be a musician?
Well, actually, I did, yeah, because I always wanted to be an archaeologist, but by the time this happened, I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to play the guitar, I want to sing, I want to write tunes. So I started to do all of those things around that age, and I've been doing it ever since, basically.
So were you formally trained then? Did you take guitar lessons, piano, anything musically, or how did you learn? How did you start learning at around 9?
Well, we discovered that the father of a friend of my brother or sister played a little guitar, and he was into the Beatles and Paul McCartney solo work and James Taylor, and he was a good guitar player, and he took an interest in the fact that I was so young and into that kind of music. So he said, like, well, you can have him come over like once every 2 weeks, and we can play for an hour or an evening. And so what I did was I went to the local library and I rented a book, something like the Beatles Complete Scores or whatever, and it had like 220 songs in it. So I borrowed it and I kept on going back to the library to extend it, so that I could keep it for like 1 or 2 years. And every week or 2 weeks, we would just play a few songs, and then next time we would do a few others. And that's how I learned to play the guitar, basically.
And how many Dutch young artists never really became artists because they couldn't get that book from the library?
It's sad to think.
Way to go, Yorick! You probably destroyed 200 careers.
I'm sorry. I'm
prevented
guilty.
the next Paul McCartney from emerging. No, that is funny though.
It's a horrible thing I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great. I just had a moment there, though, an old man moment, when you said when I was 9 years old and I heard "Free as a Bird." I'm thinking I was already divorced with 2 children, and when I heard "Free as a Bird" and you're 9 years old, that's
yeah, that must be sort of a mind fuck in a way, I guess.
Well, it's really interesting when we hear stories from people that are younger than us, not half our age, but younger. And David and I grew up as kids. We heard the Beatles, relatively soon after the albums were released, and if not, into the early 70s. And so we grew up with that. To hear people who did not grow up with it discover it, much later. And then
the funny thing is, I made myself grow up with it, but it wasn't logical in any way.
Yeah, right. And the beauty of it, is there's so much great music from the 50s, 60s, and 70s that we all can discover. Even David and I, who we've heard a lot of it, still discover things. And we talked last episode how people are saying there's no great pop or power pop music being made these days. There's none. Nobody's making any, right? Well, I thought I heard a lot of it, and I was turned on a couple of weeks ago by David to your music. So you're testament to what can be found out there if you just open your ears and open your eyes and do a little searching, which makes it.
I mean, there are literally hundreds of bands doing melodic pop out there. I mean, they're not being signed because the record industry as we know it has been absolutely decimated. And the few labels that remain are only signing acts that they know they can sell a few million of. So the whole structure of the industry as we were growing up just doesn't exist. Had it been, that there'd be a lot more of them getting signed. However, you on the other hand are part of a really cool label in the Netherlands called Excelsior. How did you get involved with them? How did you get your deal with them?
Oh, that's a good question. It goes way back, actually. After my first band, The Hype, stopped playing, I was wondering what to do next, and I was sort of writing songs and starting to think about doing an album. And a lot of Dutch acts that I really enjoyed were acts on the Excelsior label. And I really loved Frans Hagenaar's production skills, and he produces a lot of the records on the label. So I thought maybe I should reach out to Frans and see if he would be interested in doing this album with me. So we did that album. We started it in 2013. It got released in 2015, 10 years ago.
That's Happy Hunting Ground?
That's Happy Hunting Ground. And that's the first one we did. And I guess he liked, that's it. I guess he liked what he heard, because afterwards I was signed to the label and it got released. So that's how our things started.
Yeah, well, they have an amazing roster of acts. And one of my all-time favorite bands, The Mad, is one of the bands on that label. And oh my God, their records are so amazing.
Well, indeed, and if you read Yorick's bio, David, out on the Wikipedia thing or the translated one, they mentioned that you're all over radio, TV as a music expert. So obviously somebody's saying that you know a lot about music, and I was laughing to myself saying we play a game on this show called Stump the Bash, where I'm always trying to stump David with music trivia. I mean, we might have to have a future throwdown if we've got a Netherlands music expert to go up against David Bash and Stump the Bash down the road.
Stump the Van Norden, okay.
Stump the York, and whatnot. So what do you do in television and radio that has you being described as a music expert or an expert on?
Oh well. Every now and then, if there's like certain reissues or box sets being released, or some news relating to musicians, like the passing of Brian Wilson, for example, those are the sort of moments where public radio, national TV sometimes reaches out to ask me if I'm willing to talk about those subjects and tell a little about it. So I was on TV a few months ago to talk about the Power to the People box set by John Lennon and Yoko Ono, for example. So mostly those sort of things, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So reviews of things going on in the world today, releases. Sort of give some context and talk about it a little bit. Yeah. Well, give us a little bit of context because the Netherlands, not that large of an area. Bands that I've dealt with out of Norway, the reason they play and sing in English is because they want to be much bigger than just Norway. So you gotta play and sing in English to get
like Motor Psycho.
Yeah, right. But Norway, Sweden, Denmark, they're not that big. But give us some context as far as the Netherlands are concerned. Like, are you considered a well-known musical entity in your own country?
The Netherlands is a small country. We hold about 17 million people.
Right.
So it's not a whole lot. I wouldn't say I'm a household name by any means, but in my own little niche of indie music, I guess most people that are into that, like the collectors and the people visiting concerts or reading the magazines, they probably have an idea about who I am.
And you record obviously in English because I've listened to a lot of it. But do you do Dutch recordings as well? We talked about the Mad and whatnot, and they had the Mad and the Kick, and then all of a sudden they went, and now all we hear is mostly just Dutch language recordings from them. Now David is different. I'm more of I love the melody, but I also love the lyrics. David's kind of an environment. He likes to let the whole music wave over him. So he'll tell me about, have you heard the latest, whatever from the Kick, and it's all Dutch. And I'm like, but it's hard for me to wrap my head around it. I can enjoy the music and it just loses me when I can't understand the language.
For me, if the lyrics sound good, that matters more than anything. Their flow, the cadence, whether they mesh with the music. So, I can listen to one of my favorite bands ever is Münchner Freiheit from Germany, and they sing a lot of their lyrics in German, but their melodies are so wonderful that it doesn't, I can live with that.
But have you recorded Dutch language music, Yorick, or was your primary focus? I'm gonna sing in English and release in English.
Yeah, I've done Dutch songs like once or twice for special occasions, but in general, I'm not really into doing that myself. No.
But but in the Netherlands, because I really don't have a basis of understanding of it, I don't think a lot of our viewers would. So, on Netherlands radio, so to speak, what is do younger people prefer hearing the lyrics in English, or do they prefer hearing it in Dutch, or Is it a mixture, or what's it like? I mean, I can't imagine radio here being filled with Spanish language songs.
Right.
No, I mean, there are stations in this country devoted to that, but
yeah.
But yeah,
go ahead.
It's a good question. Well, it's not like in France, because in France the government says like, oh, you're only allowed to play English music for like a certain percentage of all the airtime. In the Netherlands, all of that is totally free. I would say that for the last couple of years, there has been a little trend where a lot of youths have been into listening to Dutch music, like in the Dutch language. But in general, I think English music is more popular. Yeah.
Do you think? I just love the thinking of this. But do you think that, say, the songs from your new album, would, if you had to translate that into Dutch and re-record the whole thing in Dutch, do you think it works as well than the English language?
Oh, that's a tough question. I'm not really sure, actually, because I wouldn't really feel comfortable about doing that, which is weird because it's my native language, it's my mother tongue, right?
But I just, because I hear the English language to me just seems to flow and rhyme, and it just seems really well made for especially pop music.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people, especially from Sweden, say that that the reason they don't record in Swedish is because the flow of the language just doesn't lend itself well to pop music. So I imagine
I agree with that. Because I think like certain languages lend themselves more to singing them because they're more musical in a way. I mean, Italian is a very musical language, and Spanish is, French is, English is. But I would say that a lot of northern languages like Scandinavian, Dutch, German, they're a little tough on the ear. They're not as musical sounding to me, right?
Yeah.
No, that's true. There are a lot of things like that in those languages. What was I going to ask? But English, I mean, we talk about Scandinavia, but also in the Netherlands. I mean, English is something that you learn from, when you first enter school, and you just keep learning it, right?
That's true. Yeah, I think from about 10 years onwards, we get English lessons. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way here in the States. I mean, we can opt in for, when I was young, Spanish,
Dutch,
German, but yeah, it's not like we're opting in for Dutch or Swedish or Norwegian. And I always found it fascinating because my record label had some Norwegian artists and some Swedish artists, but I've had a Norwegian friend standing next to me and a Swedish friend standing next to me, and they really weren't comfortable talking to each other because to me, it sounds like they're saying the same thing. Yeah, but can you guys not really converse that? And they don't understand each other that well. It's not like Spanish language and the Italian language. They can kind of hear what each other's saying. It's very similar, but the Scandinavian countries, they don't work that way, and that just fascinated me.
Yeah, it's different.
Something weird.
You were talking about, you were on TV talking about Power to the People, the box set. I have not bought it. I've been kind of protesting, and you may know why, because of a certain omission.
Yeah. Well,
what's your feeling about them taking that song off of Sometime in New York City?
Well, I understand why they wouldn't want to draw attention to the song in a new promotional campaign. I do understand that. But having said that, what I would have done if I were in their position was I would have omitted its usage from like the movie. I would have omitted it from maybe like the 2 CD version or the vinyl. But I wouldn't omit it from the box set because the box set is not meant to attract a new, younger crowd. It's meant for people that bought the records originally, mostly. It's an older crowd. It's a 60-plus-year-old crowd, probably in general. So they could have easily stuck it in there and
Nobody
there
would have
wouldn't have been any harm or any problem, and it would just have been historically correct. But having said that, I wouldn't go as far as boycotting it myself, but I understand why they wouldn't want to draw attention to it. But I would have included in the big box set.
Right. And that's actually that's a perspective that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can't get in the headspace of young people. I don't like that word either. Obviously, I know what John Lennon meant when he used it. And I'm sure today's kids could be explained to them, but just seeing the word, they would, if they saw the word or heard it said before the explanation, I could understand the kind of rage it would bring. So, or fear, or all kinds of stuff. So I get it. I get it.
And I think they're a little. I mean, John Lennon's reputation has taken a lot of beatings during the last 10 or 20 years with the internet, because I think there's some things he did that have been taken out of context and have been used for endless memes and things, and so I think they're very scared of putting oil to the fire.
No. Believe me, that makes perfect sense.
Very good point.
Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I wanted to move into some Yorick's music. And now, if we could, because we've got this brand new album.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah, you were going to do that?
Yeah. So I'm glad we're simpatico here.
Let's talk about this brand new album. He's got the actual CD there. It was released back on November 14th, I believe. That was the release date a couple weeks ago. So some of you might already have it at this point, but here it is. We'll pop it up. That's let's talk about the album cover. Let's talk about the where it was recorded.
Well, that's a very nice story. Some of you might recognize this room by looking at the walls, by looking at the stairs, by looking at the white wall on the left. This is Abbey Road Studio 2 in London.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that's where we did the album, which was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, really. And I mean, when I started listening to the Beatles when I was 9, I would never have dreamed about ever doing this. So I was living my dream.
How did you get the opportunity?
Well, long story short, if one pays, one is allowed to go in there and record. So it didn't take any talent or something like that. I mean, everybody would have been allowed had they paid. But having said that, it's all quite expensive, of course. So it wasn't easy to get the funding together, really. I had to do like a crowdfunding campaign. We got some funding from special government fundings,
right?
Which is a very European thing.
It really is, because we don't have that, unfortunately.
No, I mean, the idea is not to sort of give away money like, oh, here you go, do your thing. But it's seen as an investment in the arts, and they're hoping that the investment will earn more money, put more money back into the economy and into the arts. So that's the whole idea of it. So we got that. And then we emptied all our savings and wallets, and there wasn't a lot in there, but still something. So it all added up, and then I could go ahead and live my dream. But it wasn't as easy as that, because this whole idea started in 2018. And in 2019, I started to think about it more seriously and campaign for it. So we were intending on going there in, I think it was like May 2020. But we all know what happened in the world somewhere in March or April 2020. So we couldn't go.
Wow, that must have been devastating.
Wow. So, I mean, did it turn into a blessing because you were able to maybe put together songs additionally or more things about the songs that you had in your plan that to go in there and record specifically and not waste time?
Well, It in a way, I think it was for the better, but in hindsight, but looking back on it, I mean, I was devastated that I couldn't go, of course, because it was such a dream. And we had already done the pre-production. We'd gone to a little island in the north of the Netherlands with the band, and we did like 30 demos, and everything was set. The wheels were in motion. So then this happened. So we had to sort of make a very tough decision, like, do we sit this out and wait, or do we do another record in the meantime? And no one knew for how long this was gonna go on. So Franz, the producer, and we had a gut feeling like this might take a little while. Other people at the label were like, well, maybe you could go after the summer, maybe this will be gone in a few months. But Franz and I were like, well, this could be a little longer, this could be here a little longer. No one knew, but still, we gambled on that. So we did another record in the meantime in the Netherlands. I set a few songs aside for this record, about 5 or 6 that I already had in the can, and I set them aside and kept them. I used some of the others and a few older ones. I wrote some new ones, and that ended up becoming the Playing by Ear record, which was released in late 21.
Such a good record, too.
Thank you.
Did the sound at Abbey Road... Did the sound at Abbey Road really live up to your dreams?
Oh, yeah, it really did. I mean, it's a combination of things. But first of all, the acoustics of the room, they're just incredible. I mean, it's so well designed. It was designed to be a studio by very, very clever people and mathematicians who thought it all out. And so the acoustics are great. When you're listening, you're playing there and listening, it's just like, wow, what a room. But then, of course, you also have the microphones and the gear they use. Like we used a little tape recorder, 24 track from 1969 or 1970, an old EMI desk. So it's the desk that was used on certain Pink Floyd records, for example, and certain McCartney recordings that he did there with Wings. So yeah, it was incredible to think that was still there, and we used the Studer tape recorder. So all of those things added up to really having a great sound, I would say.
And let's hear some of that great sound. We'll start out with, I normally, when I play stuff from a new record, I start out with a first track because I think that the artist had something in mind when they had that track first. But in this case, it's extra special because that track happens to also be the lead-off track of disc 2 of our most recent International Pop Overthrow compilation, volume 26. And I have to thank you and, of course, Ferry and Jim from Excelsior for allowing us to have the track. It's called The Keepers of the Gates. And tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, first of all, it was such a thrill to be included on your compilation and for it to be released on Omnivore Records in the US. I mean, I was very, very flattered by that. So thank you so much for that. What the track is about, basically, it's about this thought that I sometimes miss the days of having certain gatekeepers in music and in the arts, the days of some journalists and writers and radio presenters really taking the listeners by the hand and saying like, whoa, have you heard this record? You should really check it out. And I mean, that stuff is still happening. We have blogs, we have podcasts like yours, we have music magazines. So it's all still there, but I think it's not as important anymore culturally, and a lot of it has been taken over by the algorithms of the streaming platforms, which is very sad, I think, because the algorithms only lead you to more of the same music that you already know and like. So you're always being brought to the low-hanging fruit, so to speak,
right?
The easy solution, whereas. I think it's very nice if you're being, what's the word? Taken out of your comfort zone and given new things. And, so this song is sort of like a statement about that I miss Keepers of the Gates.
Well, all right. That I certainly have the same lament on that you do, having been brought up on top 40 radio, where you could hear a soul song followed by a pop song, followed by a rock song, followed by an adult song, and it would all just be good music. And so you were exposed to all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
I say that now as somebody who runs a pop festival and who's in a much narrower bracket, but it was great. It was great developing my taste, having it developed that way by the keepers of the top 40 gates.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Exactly.
here we go with the lead off track from the brand new album by Yorick Van Norden. The album's called Do It Now, and the track is The Keepers of the Gates here at Material Issues.
Jerry wasn't wanted by any band, as he mistook computers for an instrument. He found himself a way to run tune to spoon, an overnight sensation thanks to auto-tune. It didn't take long for him to find out that yesteryear's fashion has become old hat. For every guy next door drinks from the same well. Pop music ain't dead, there's a funny smell. Looks like the keepers of the gates left town. I guess we won't be seeing them around. All we hear is some unhinged sounds. How I long for the old-fashioned ways of the keepers of the gates. Blanchardine against his new ferry board, going for the revolutionary court. He tried his luck and moved down to London town. Soon was turning everybody's heads around. The elder statesman lifted into flash as he hit the big town in a dollar bash. His fantasy it blossomed with a heartfelt feel, and people told each other that the gifts were real. Looks like the keepers of the gates left town. I guess we won't be seeing them around. All we hear is some unhinged sounds. How I long for the old-fashioned ways of the keepers of the gates. 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 And now the golden era's been and gone. Looks like the race to the bottom's on, and there ain't nothing that can be done but to long for the old-fashioned ways of the keepers of the gates. 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 The keepers.
Sorry about that.
Please, please.
It's just too good. I had to play it again. But I love the fact that you repeat the hook a lot. That's a lost art in today's pop music for sure. And some horns on there. Are those real horns or?
Yeah. Those were 3 horns actually, and for this record, I decided that I had used brass in the past, but I'd mostly used it in a classical way, in more ballady kind of stuff. So for this record, I thought it would be cool to have the brass be a little more soulful, and use it in some up-tempo songs, like this one, for example. So, and it's funny because a saxophone solo in pop music, it's not something that I always enjoy and think works. I mean, think about Still Crazy After All These Years. It's one of Paul Simon's very best songs, but the moment the saxophone kicks in, I'm not really happy about the direction the song moves in, so to speak.
Yeah.
But he played a really good solo, the player. And we really liked it, so we thought, let's just keep it and make it sound a little dirty, as if it's like Bobby Keys playing on Exile Main Street in the room next to you, so it's not too clean and not too bright.
Right.
That's why I
you definitely succeeded in that.
It leads.
Thank you.
It leads you. I mean, that's like it's like a leading saxophone. It takes you right back into the hook with that. Just that.
Yeah.
It builds. It builds it. It just keeps redoing that. That's just a great hook, man. Really well.
Thank you.
The next track I want to play is the next track on the album, Dear Francis. Is Francis somebody in your real life or just someone you made up?
Yeah, she is. It's Paul Bond's daughter. Paul Bond, the key player on the record, the player in my band, and he's also a very fine musician in his own right, releasing solo records under the name PGM Bond. And he's also played IPO.
He has. I was going to say he's come a
Liverpool.
couple of times to Liverpool.
So
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a great friend of mine. And when he first became a dad of Frances, I was inspired to write this song as a sort of welcome message to welcome her into the world, and also warn her a little bit, as if you get your medicine from the doctor and there's a little recipe about how to use it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, you don't hear people writing songs about that subject too often, so this is really heartwarming. Anyway,
I was thinking about you do have songs like when a man loves a woman on the Friends album, where Brian Wilson sings about a subject like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I suppose a little bit different, but yeah. All right, so so this is the second track from Do It Now, Dear Francis, here on Material Issues.
Journey, there's sunshine and sometimes there's rain. There's moments of happiness and there are moments of pain. Believe in yourself while you're holding your ground. Create something pretty, just something you think's gonna last. Dear Francis, anywhere you go, sweet Francis, believe in what you know, dear Francis. The world waits for you to be. You'll see, you'll see, you'll see, you'll see, you'll see.
Wow.
Well, talk about a song with a great late 60s feel. And actually, I wonder if the whole You'll See part reminds me of The Day We Fall in Love by the Monkees, from More of the Monkees. I don't know if that was, was that an inspiration, or was that just coincidence?
It's coincidence, but I do know and love the record, so it must. I've heard the record a few times in my life, so it should be somewhere in the back of my mind, I guess. But this was a funny song to record because we weren't really intending on recording it. We only had like 20 or 30 minutes left before we had to leave the studio on the last day. It was our last moment in Abbey Road. So we had a little time on our hands, and we got together in the control room for a little talk, and we were like, okay guys, we have like 20 or 30 minutes. We can try to cut one more song and do something, but it's got to be real quick. We really got to hurry. So we sort of weighed our options a little bit, like, oh, we could do that one, we could do that one. And then I remembered this song, and I remembered that Frans, the producer, had taken a liking to it during the pre-production. So I played the demo, and he was like, yeah, that's gotta be the one, we gotta do it. And everybody got very enthusiastic about the whole idea, but we hadn't really worked at it very hard. So we went down the stairs, back into Studio 2, back into the room, and we picked it up. I explained to the guys how I wanted it to be and how I wanted it to feel and to sound, and went through all the changes. And I think we did 6 or 7 takes, and in between takes I sort of arranged it on the spot, and I said, oh, wow, keep on doing that on the drums, and oh, you do this on the guitar, and oh, what are you playing on the mellotron, Paul? And we sort of changed it around a little bit. And then I think take 7 was recorded like 5 before 8 during the evening, and then at 8 o'clock it was captured on tape, and we were like, yeah, this was the one, it's in the can, so it's a wrap. And it was the song that finished the record, but the recording sessions, but it was so pure and enthusiastic and spontaneous that I really liked the feel of it, because there was no pressure.
That's amazing. Well, there was pressure. You had to have it done in 30 minutes, and
that was the pressure. Yeah,
it's amazing like that you were able to do that. You are Brian Wilson.
I mean, David, if you were clicking on YouTube and they said, here's a long lost performance from the Ed Sullivan Show of The Association,
I was thinking about The Association. Yeah,
this track, you'd be like, that is one of the best things we've ever heard from The Association.
Yeah, definitely. Those background vocals are very. You must be a fan of The Association.
I'm so glad you mentioned this great band, because it's one of my favorite groups from the 60s. They're very unknown in the Netherlands, and I'm a huge admirer. I got the biography, and I got all their records, and I love it. And I've played them to death, and I haven't really given any thought to the idea that Dear Francis might be inspired by The Association. But now that you mention it, in a way, I do recognize that the part where it goes like the da 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 da, that could have been on the Birthday record, something like that. It's a kind of wrecking crew thing to do that. And I do understand where you're coming from with the harmonies as well. I hadn't given any thought to the idea, but I love that I love that link. Yeah, thank you.
It's very sunshiny and very. It's just very uplifting in the harmonies, and it grows. And hopefully you checked out our episode where we had Yester and Alexander of The Association right here on Material.
Wow. Not yet, but I got it.
I'll send you a link to it. You can go back and watch it. They were great. They were they were wonderful.
What a band.
Yeah, indeed. We have one more song to play, but we'll do that when we finish up. But before that, let's talk about your other vocation, that as an author. And when I first read about this, I was like, wow, I can't believe, I had no idea that he, besides being a popmeister of the First Order, he was also an author extraordinaire. This whole project is just, it's astounding just to think about.
I'm glad you don't read Dutch, David, so you still think I'm an author extraordinaire.
There you go. Okay. Well, that's true. I have to reserve judgment. I haven't.
Wait for the translated copy.
Well, I recognize some of the words here. Let's see. Albert Grossman, Levon Helm.
Right.
Those are the Dutch words that I know. But how in the world were Well, first of all, so you were in McCartney's house looking at his record cabinet?
Oh, I wish.
Oh, so that's not what happened. Because the next question was going to be, did you get to meet him? All right. So how did this all come about then?
Well, the thing is, when the Egypt Station record was released in 2018, there were some promo pictures done by Paul's daughter Mary that were used to promote the record. They were used in the Uncut magazine article. They were used online. And to this day, they're being used extensively on Paul's social media. They were pictures taken showing Paul in his music room in his house in Cavendish Avenue in London, standing in front of his records. So ever since I saw that picture, I was taken aback. I mean, you guys know that being a collector, if you see a picture of someone's record collection, if you visit friends and they have a record collection, sooner or later, there's going to be a moment where you're going to try and sneak in and watch the records and see what's in there, right?
Well, last episode, David, we said you can tell a lot about somebody by looking at the spines of their record collection and seeing what's there, right?
Indeed,
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm like that as well. If I visit friends and they have a record collection, chances are very big that if they go and get me a cup of tea in the kitchen, I will use that time to take a look at their record collection, right? So if that collector is Paul McCartney, it's even more fascinating, of course. And being a songwriter myself, I'm always interested to find out where did other songwriters take their inspiration from. So yeah, putting the two together and having Paul McCartney be that guy, yeah, to me it can't get any better. So ever since I saw that picture, I was so fascinated by the photo. So a few years went by with nothing because it was just a little picture on the internet. You couldn't really see a lot. But then a guy on the internet sent me a file that was 50 MBs large, and it was like a press copy of the picture. So yeah, I just couldn't believe my eyes when I received that. I made a print of it like this big, and I could use a loop and hang over the picture and see what was in there, and I could zoom in on my computer screen and suddenly try to decipher what was in Paul McCartney's record collection. And yeah, it was such a fascinating adventure. I immediately thought this is a story waiting to be told, because this is a story that hasn't been told. And so many Beatles stories have been told and so many books have been written. But I wouldn't want to retell the same old story, rehashing all the same old sources, because then it would only be like, how do you say that? It would be a very... egoistical thing, like, oh, look at me, I'm an author now, but it wouldn't really add anything to the world, right? So, but here there was a story waiting to be told. So I was inspired by that, and I thought, like, well, there's a book in there, and I gotta write it. So we're talking about COVID times, so I had a lot of time on my hands where I couldn't perform. So I was like, what a great way to spend my time. So I managed to decipher like 200 or 300 records from the photo and through other research that I've been doing for years. And I made a list of all of that. And after I put together the list, I was like, phew, that was a lot of work. But then the work only had to start, because a list of 200 records is like 2 or 3 pages in a book. So you can't sell a book based on a list. So you would think that the hard work was done by then, but it was only just starting, because then I had to write the book.
So what is the gist of the book, though? Seeing as though we don't speak, are you talking about, are you listening to the music and talking about how it might have affected McCartney, or what are you, what's the idea behind the pictures in the book?
Well, at first, when I deciphered all the records, I was like, I want to write a few sentences about every record in there. That would have been a nice road. But then I was like, well, that's not very interesting, because then it'll just be like a Wikipedia kind of thing, just summing up all the records and some info from the internet that's very findable on Google. So I was like, no, it's got to be more interesting than that. So what I tried to do was pick out like 30 or 40 artists from his record collection where I felt that there was a story to be told there, because there was a connection between the artists, preferably an unknown connection, sometimes a very well-known connection, as in the case with Paul McCartney and Brian Wilson, or Paul McCartney and Stockhausen, for example. But other times, like you had like the French artist Johnny Hallyday or Fela Kuti. I mean, people know about Fela Kuti being in Nigeria when they did Band on the Run, but there's a lot to that story that isn't known. So I picked about 30 or 40 artists, and I tried to tell the story of the artists and Paul McCartney and the way they influenced each other, the way they interacted, the way they worked together, if they ever did, the things they said about each other, if they ever talked about each other. For example, there's like Roy Harper. And Paul McCartney was into Roy Harper, and they bumped into each other all the time, recording at Abbey Road in the 1970s. But there's a connection there. They've talked about each other. There's a rare promotional copy that was released, an introduction to Roy Harper. It was a promo record that was only released in the US, I think about 500 copies. And on that promo record, Paul McCartney talks about Roy Harper. So and Dave Gilmour and some other famous people. So I managed to get a hold of that record. I bought a copy, and I transcribed everything Paul said about Roy Harper, and I transcribed everything Roy Harper ever said about Paul McCartney. And just made a lot of chapters up like that. And then I interviewed a couple of people that I felt would be interesting to talk to about their music in relation to Paul McCartney and the stories behind the albums in his record collection. So I talked to John Sebastian of the Loving Spoonful. I went to his house in Woodstock. I talked with Donovan over email. I talked to Ken Scott, the recording engineer, people like that. Yeah.
Wow, man, that's fascinating. Wow.
Thank you.
Has Paul been given a copy of the book?
No, I haven't, because I was like, it's in Dutch, so.
Well, is he? But do you know if he's aware of it?
No, he's not aware. But I could send him a copy. I could send one to his office and see if they would respond.
Oh, my guess is they would almost certainly respond. And again, even though the book's in Dutch, two things. One, McCartney would love. He'd probably be very flattered that you did it. Plus, he would, like me, he would really love the photos. And also, he can afford to hire a translator to read it to him.
Right, that's true. That's one thing that's for certain.
So I think it would be a really good idea. I mean, I'm very glad that I bought the book, and I was even gladder to buy it right in front of you when I was in Amsterdam in June, and we were at Concerto Records, which is one of the best record stores I've ever been in anywhere. And they had the book, and I picked it up right there. Sorry, I didn't ask you to autograph it. I'm not much of an autograph kind of guy, but just having you there and doing the video that we did, well, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
How is it selling? Is it selling well in the Netherlands now?
Yeah, I mean. I don't know a lot about the publishing department and the whole book thing. I don't know what's common, but I do know that the publisher is very happy and that there's a second print run that's in stores now. So it seems like a good sign.
That's a very, very good sign. Listen, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, before we get to the final song and start to wrap everything up, a couple of questions I had for you. Number one, all your releases included the brand new one, Do It Now. Then you had Happy Hunting Ground, The Jester, Playing by Ear. Are they all still available on Excelsior? Can they be? Yeah. There's nothing out of print, or we got to go through Discogs and hope we can find a copy.
I think all of them are still orderable through the Excelsior Recordings website.
Okay.
And some of them are available through my website, yorickvannorden.com. Some of them are on Amazon and Discogs as well.
Very good.
And are there still like LP and CD combinations that you can get? Because that's one of the things Excelsior did with a lot of their albums that I loved. That you can you could buy them both as a package.
Yeah, they did that for quite a while, but they stopped doing it a few years ago. I really liked that as well. Yeah,
it was very cool. The second question I had for you, because you obviously have your finger on the pulse of music coming out of the Netherlands, and I always ask this question for people who would know. In the power pop, rock and roll vein in the Netherlands, do you have names of bands or artists that maybe we or our people that watch this show should check out that we might not know about?
Well, there's one record that got released last October, and it's a record that was done by this young guy called Tom Bruins. And the record is called Waiting for the Rain, and it's like a concept album, and there's some prog in there, like old Genesis, but there's a lot of Nilsson and a lot of Randy Newman and a lot of Van Dyke Parks in there.
Wow.
And his songs are great, and it's like a song cycle. It's out there on streaming services, and it's available on vinyl and CD. And I think that record might be right up your alley. And another band in the Netherlands that I really enjoy a lot, you probably know them. They're called the Dawn Brothers.
I don't.
The Dawn Brother, DON or DAWN?
DAWN.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a band from Rotterdam. They released about 5 records so far, but I think you really love that. I think, I mean, I know David. I know you'll be into these records.
Wow. I don't. Yeah, the name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. What was the name of the first artist again?
Tom, and then his surname is Bruins. Bruins.
Oh, Bruins.
Bruins, like Bruins. Okay.
Yeah, Bruins. Yeah.
Like the Bruins hockey team. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll have to check
like a brewery.
Both of those out.
I'm always interested in finding out, like, people that know the music in their home country that many times we don't hear ever about any of these. And that's, again, I didn't know much about you, Yorick, until David brought it up, and that's just the wonder of discovery and
the internet.
That's why I like to ask someone like you about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Do you guys also know Bent van Looy from Belgium?
I do, and I know one of his records was produced by Jason Faulkner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and I do, and that leads me to something that you already know, but I'm really hoping to be able to do an IPO in Amsterdam next June. I've been talking to Ferry and Jim about a venue that they know, and I'm hoping we can get in there. And if we do, certainly hoping to do an Excelsior Records night, and would love it if you and Bent and all those great artists on Excelsior that we can get could be part of that. So keeping my fingers crossed.
Would be lovely.
But it would be definitely the first weekend of June.
Wow.
If we did it, that because we already know Liverpool is May 24 through 31, so it would be the following weekend if we can do it, and then we would go to Stockholm. The last track that I have queued up, and there's something that we spoke with about with our guest on our last recorded show, Peter Daltrey from the band the 60s band Kaleidoscope. Back in the 60s, as I'm sure you know, just by looking and listening to records, a lot of the pop and psychedelic pop bands would write songs about just ordinary people, like songs about watchmakers or crossing guards or things like that. And you have a song on here. I don't know that that's what it's about, but you have one called Charity Shop, which is really bouncy and very, very catchy. Did you have the 60s in mind when you named that song?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love charity shops. We have a lot of them in the Netherlands, and they're great places for record hunting because, you're always surprised by what you will find. So, I fancied writing a fun song about that. But it's a funny song on one hand with the brass and stuff, and it's sort of bouncy like Lady Madonna, and it's very Kings-like, like vaudeville-like and British. But there's also a more serious side to it because it's also like a little protest against consumerism, about companies not making things built to last, but making things that only last a certain while, so you have to buy it again. So yeah, there's also a little critique in there, but that's what the song is about.
Wouldn't that
start listening to more lyrics?
Wouldn't that be something if that's how vinyl worked? Like you bought an album and it only got to play like 50 times and then it just wore out and you had it again?
Exactly. That would be horrible.
That'd be horrible. The collecting would go right out the window.
Well, I always made sure that wouldn't happen with my vinyl. I would always make cassettes of them and play them in my car.
Right, that's a good thing. Hey, David and Mark, can I ask you a question?
Sure,
of course.
I've been looking for a record for ages, and it might be a record that you guys have in your collections. I'm just curious. Do you have a copy of the original vinyl of Eternity's Children, the Kurt Butcher record?
It's very funny that you mention that because as you probably know, and I was hoping to actually have it today. But it looks like it's not coming till tomorrow. The two Eternity's Children albums have been reissued now and have just come out. Our good friend Steve Stanley curated these reissues, and I actually have Timeless in the other room. That's the second album, but the first one I had to order through Amazon, and it was supposed to show up today. And now it's not showing up till tomorrow. I had both of those albums at one time. In fact, Eternity's Children was one of those in the late 70s that I knew existed and just could never find. I was looking, and I finally did. It certainly lived up to everything I was hoping it would. And then one day, I was in 1979. I was in Toronto, Canada, looking through record bins there, and lo and behold, I see this Eternity's Children album I never knew about called Timeless. My first thought was, "Is this the same band?" I noticed it was on Capitol Records. I said, "Well, it's got to be." And then I looked at the back, and it was the same names. It's only $1.
Wow.
So of course I bought it. I was actually a bit taken aback when I first heard it because it wasn't the same kind of psychedelic pop that the first album was. It was a little bit more, breezy, soulful at the same time. But yeah, both really great records. But no, I don't. I wish I still had my copies. I gave one to Steve Stanley for his birthday. A long time ago, probably about 25 years ago.
That's a nice gift.
Yeah. Well, and the other one, God, I don't remember. I don't remember what I did with it. I must have sold it when the CD came out, but I no longer have it. And yeah, they're worth a lot of money now. So you're looking for that?
Yeah, but I'll probably get the reissue. Because I do know that it's in safe hands with Steve working on it.
Well, they're both. Well, you know what? Let's. We're going to do something right now. I'm going to go get the copy of Timeless that I have, and we can take a look at that.
Great.
I think you just made David's night. Yeah. No.
I didn't know. I didn't know I would.
No, it's really cool. It's a very cool question you had there that lit him up for. Obviously, is Steve Stanley's Now Sound label still running? They haven't done any new releases for. No, I don't think label wide. Steve gets involved with research, producing, graphics, or Cherry Red subsidiaries and a number of labels and things. Of course, with Omnivore and David stuff, but I don't think label wise he's doing much of anything or has done for a while. I mean, David might know if there's anything, but I don't believe so. All
right. Well, here's the copy of Timeless. It's really nice. It's got the first time on vinyl since 1969. This hype sticker. And I'm going to open it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's a moment.
Yeah, it is. I heard that
I better make sure I don't.
you have the plastic.
No, the plastic's okay. I have to take the plastic off because it's a gatefold. I just want to make sure I don't mess up the height sticker because I like to save those. I saw the original version was not a gatefold, but Steve went all. Oh wow! Look at this.
Wow.
Oh wow! Oh, that's pretty.
Awesome. All these liner notes and the photos.
Great.
And Steve wrote these actually in March. I know that he had spoken with several of the members. God, one of the guys looks a lot like Steve, actually. That's interesting. Maybe that was why. But this looks beautiful. And I'm really hoping again, I was going to actually introduce those on the but see, here I'm talking November when this is airing in December, so it's all weird. But later on in actual time in November, we're going to do another show, and I was going to bring them both out for that, but now I won't be able to do it. So I'm glad we got to do it here. With
beautiful,
it really does look beautiful. So by all means. Pick those up. My guess is also the sound quality is going to be better than what's on the original record anyway. So with Steve in charge, that's going to be true.
Yeah, indeed. Wow, wonderful. Man, learning a lot of great stuff here tonight. This is a fantastic interview. I love it.
Eternity's Children is very cool. A very, very cool pop.
I love them.
Man. Well, anyway, let's play Charity Shop from Do It Now, the 11th track on the on that great album by our guest Yorick Van Norden here on Material Issues.
I bought a book on architecture about the life of Mr. Right. Though his life was unadventurous, all his work is out of sight. My favorite shop. Charity shop. My favorite charity shop. One man's trash is another man's treasure at a charity shop. I found a painting somewhat like the ones once made by Terry Mills. It showed the miners were on strike in 1913 Quincy Hill. My favorite shop. My favorite charity
That song is so much fun, and definitely has a very strong Harry Nilsson feel to it.
Oh, very much so.
Yorick, you there?
I'm there. You there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were saying that song is a lot of fun, and it has a very strong Harry Nilsson feel to it.
Right.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a great compliment. I love Harry.
Yeah, you can tell for sure. By the way, while we were talking about other people's music, while I was in the Netherlands, I had no idea this had come out, and I haven't even seen it in this country at all since then. But this collection, Behind the Dikes, beat, blues, and psychedelic nuggets from the lowland, 1964 to 72. Do you have this yet?
I don't.
No,
But
you would probably
it looks
enjoy it.
brilliant.
It really is brilliant. I mean, there's some garage pop, there's some psychedelic pop, definitely some sunshine pop, all kinds of stuff from bands from the Netherlands. It's absolutely wonderful. So I'm sure you'll find it. So I didn't get this at Concerto. They didn't have it, but one of the other shops did. I don't remember the name at this point, but anyway, I'm sure it's around.
Yeah, I got to say, Yorick, the reason I collect music, the reason I'm always searching for the next thing that, front to back, top to bottom, the entire album just gives me a thrill. That's what kind of turns you into the next. I got to find that. It's like being an addict, when you hear something really, really good. And throughout the year, I hear things that are really good and they blow me away. But maybe a handful of times, 3, 4, or 5 times a year, you run into an album that just makes you go, fuck, that's good. And do it now. Yorick Van Norden, man.
Oh, wow.
This one did it to me. Really.
I would have to
Thank
agree.
you so much.
It's way up there.
Yeah, and I'm not just because you're against. I'm not just blowing smoke up your wazoo because you hear it. No, I mean it. This is something that if you're into this kind of thing, this kind of music, especially, or if you've never heard it before, it's gonna turn you on. So anybody watching this thing, go out there and find Excelsior Records, Yorick Van Norden. Do it now. There's the album cover. Pick it up, and also, go out and listen to the older stuff. You can get that from Excelsior as well, and it kills as well.
Big shout out to Ferry Roseboom of Excelsior. I had my wife and I had the opportunity to meet him when we were in Amsterdam, and man, I mean, you can just tell he's like I am. I mean, he's just really passionate about music. You know that he loves what he does. And we need more people like that.
Yeah, really. And we hope the future holds more Yorick Van Norden down the road, because I know this album has just been released a couple weeks ago. Thank you. I'm still playing this nice game with everybody. It's just been released, but you're still young compared to David and I, and we're looking forward to years of Yorick Van Norden creations. Keep creating.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to do the next one.
I'll bet.
Keep creating. So, man, have a great evening. Thank you so much for being on Material Issues.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed myself talking to you both. Thank you so much.
Indeed.
Our pleasure, and hopefully we'll see you in June. Keep my fingers crossed.
That would be lovely.
We thank everybody, and spread the word. Materialissues.com. Tell all your friends. Subscribe over on YouTube. Watch the archives. We have the association out there. I know you're
great. I can't wait.
Have a fantastic evening, and we will talk to you soon, Yorick. Good night.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Wow.
That was fun, and a great record as well.
Wow.
Do It Now by Yorick Van Norden, out on November 14th.
Which was a couple weeks
ago. Pick it up on Excelsior Records. I know these days it's difficult to get things from the Netherlands, but trust me, it'll be worth the effort and the wait.
That was a fun interview, not just because of the music, but because of the knowledgeable person he was, the interesting things he's done with recording at Abbey Road, doing the Paul McCartney record album book, just his knowledge and passion for the music. It's very refreshing,
I liked his perspective also on the, let's just say, the omitted song from the John Lennon album, and have it on the box, but not necessarily on the record. I'm not so sure I agree with it. But it makes a lot of sense.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, speaking of making a lot of sense, let's get back to. Well, we can't even talk about who's coming.
No, we can't because we have no idea.
All right. So, if you're watching this, whenever it is,
it'll be December, early December.
There'll be shows on either side of it that you'll figure out who's coming up. But we've had a lot of great interviews in the last month. And we hope you've checked them all out. So materialissues.com, that's the place to go. Please pass it on. If you haven't subscribed, it's running across the bottom right now. Do so. Tell your friends how great it is. I know on Facebook we just got a lot of new subscribers, and we're up to, I don't know, close to 3,000 followers on our Facebook page.
Are we really? Wow.
Yeah, but YouTube we're trying to grow. We just hit like 500 on YouTube, which is kind of where the archives are. So we're hoping we get more people over there to check out the archives. But it's been great, David. Great get with Yorick Van Norden. What a wonderful artist, and we look forward to what's coming up here the rest of December.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you love his music as much as you do. I mean, he certainly is a talent.
I want to wish you happy Hanukkah too, because we're in the throes of Hanukkah right now, and of course the holidays are coming up. The holidays are coming up, so I hope you're having a good time.
And Merry Christmas in advance. Either 18 days in advance or 11 days in advance. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's the holiday season. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
I'm just filled with the holiday season. Look at me here. Look at this.
Obviously, yeah.
Eep, op, oop, ah. Yeah, but all right, everybody. We'll have a great night, and we will see you next week. Material Issues, right here, materialissues.com.
Thank you, everyone.